A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you practice how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely, like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says "I'm a catch" more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it "my place."
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there. Byars just failed.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Phone number to call is 937-457-9464. I'll say it again in case you didn't miss it. 937-457-9464. That's the number to call with your questions, comments, and concerns. We're going to talk sports. And you can also hit me on Twitter at KAB41, and I take your questions. I'm live here in the studio today. But next week, after Christmas, I know you guys giving a Merry Christmas to you guys right now. And Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Feliz Navidad, all that good stuff, to everyone, all the listeners out there. But next Monday, I'll be live also. Today's Wednesday. But next Monday, so 5 days, I'll be live doing a preview of the Ohio State-Clemson game. And where would I be? I'll be live at the Lee's Famous Recipe right there on North Main Street in Dayton. So come on out, meet me at 12 o'clock, and we'll have lunch. And we can talk about the game. We'll talk about the game some today between Ohio State and Clemson, but we're getting a deeper dive by next week to talk about that. Also, wow, this past weekend, Ohio State won the Big Ten championship, 4th year in a row. Congratulations to them for that. Let's, celebrate the Big Ten championship. That is an honor that every player wants to win while he's at Ohio State. He wants to be a Big Ten champion. Yes, you want to be a national champion also, but it was hard to win a national championship without a Big Ten championship. So one step at a time. And sometimes we're so worried about tomorrow, we forget to smell the roses of today. So, hey, we're Big Ten champs. Let's appreciate that. I had to remind some of my friends that on Saturday night. Okay, who we think? I said, why are we worried about if we're going to make the playoffs and what seed we're going to be in the playoffs? That's going to take care of itself. But today, take a deep breath and enjoy the game. Enjoy the victory over Northwestern, 22-10. Northwestern put up a good show, but we won a Big Ten championship in Indianapolis. We had some family and go to the game from both teams, so that was good. They stayed socially distant, but that's a good thing. So the Buckeyes started the weekend off with the Big Ten championship win in Indianapolis over Northwestern, followed by on Sunday the Cleveland Browns played really good football and they won another game. Can you believe it? The Browns are on a winning streak. How many games in a row is that, Justin? 5? They lost to the Ravens, so they won 4 out of 5?
Yeah.
4 out of 5. I forgot they lost to them on some last Monday night. But they're playing. They're playing really good football and need to be commended for that. They didn't continue to lose in ways after losing the Monday night. They bounced back with a big win on Sunday. So we had Ohio State win on Saturday. The Cleveland Browns win on Sunday, to improve. And I just say improve their record to 10-4, double-digit wins. And then on Monday, we got 3 wins in a row here in the state of Ohio. Monday Night Football, the Cincinnati Bengals put it on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, I heard it right. They put it on them. The Bengals played quite easily their best game of the season. I was watching that game. First quarter, I'm like, man, first drive. The first 4 drives, Pittsburgh was 3 and out. The quarter's over with. I'm like, man, I think that's the best quarter of football I've seen out of the Bengals this year. And then the second quarter came. The Bengals played just as well. I'm like, wow, that's the best half of football I've seen out of the Bengals. Can they keep it up for the second half? It takes two halves to win this game. Let's see what's going to happen. Third quarter, a little shaky. Pittsburgh came out. In the fourth quarter, they finished Pittsburgh off in grand fashion. 10-point game win over the Pittsburgh Steelers, who they hardly ever beat, seems like. But nevertheless, Cincinnati had 3 straight days of Ohio football teams winning. You have to love it. And it felt really good. So we'll talk about that also. So kudos to the Buckeye fans, Browns fans, and the Bingo fans. How about that? All these B's. I just not put that together. All the nicknames start with the B here. The Ohio State Buckeyes, the Cleveland Browns, and the Cincinnati Bengals. I never thought of that. Now, that's okay, nevertheless. Have you ever thought of that, Justin? You never thought of that either. That's strange. The 3 football teams and, sports teams having the same first letter, first initial. The Indians blew it. Cavaliers blew it. But nevertheless, the Blue Jackets was trying to, keep up with the tradition. But okay, I digress. I'm rambling. Let's get back to Saturday. Big Ten champions, congratulations to Trey Sermon. Set the Ohio State single-season rushing record with 331 yards. Broke the record previously held by Eddie George, which was 314, who previously broke the record of yours truly, Keith Byars, at 274, who broke the record of who? Archie Griffin at 246 yards. So that's, now I was second all time, and now I'm tied for third because Ezekiel Elliott tied me a couple years ago when he had 274 yards against Indiana. I'm not going to forget Ezekiel Elliott. For some of you listeners, say, what about Zeke? I remember Zeke. So me and Zeke shared the record. Zeke tied me. So he didn't break my record. He tied my record. Tied it, but Eddie George broke my record. And now Trey Sermon is a new single season rushing leader. Single game, it's not season, single game rushing leader. So congrats. That has to feel good, because I know how I felt when I set the record. I was in a training room at Ohio State, sitting in a cold bath because I was beat up after that Illinois game. I was tired. And lo and behold, it's Keith, telephone. I said, telephone? Who's calling me here? Archie. Archie Griffin wants to get you on the phone. So I jumped out the cold bath, ran into the trainer's office, and it was Archie congratulating me on breaking this record. That felt almost as good as breaking the record. I mean, to get a call from Archie Griffin, who I'd already known, but for him to take time out of his schedule, to call me, that felt good. And I'm sure Eddie George took some time out of his busy schedule to congratulate Trey Sermon also. Which leads to beg the question, when you was watching a game on Saturday, what was Ohio State doing in that first half? And I have to give it what credit is and give blame where credit is. So the blame goes to Ryan Day. Ryan Day, what is these trick plays, you throwbacks, and all this stuff? What were you trying to do? I was like, Trey Sermon had 60 yards in the first half. No tackles for loss. Every time he get the ball, boom, boom, and then we start throwing the ball around. And then the second half, I guess, cooler minds, and you made some adjustments. We should have had to make adjustments. Run the ball. Going into the game, Ohio State was number 1 in the country of having balanced offense. We're the only team in the country to average over 250 yards passing and over 250 yards rushing. So it's no secret we can run the football. Yet we was coming out, forgetting our identity and slinging the ball all over the place with a quarter of your team missing, over 23 guys missing because of COVID. We're shorthanded, and you got guys in new faces and new positions, and that was just not a good football move by us. So I had to get on Ryan Day and the staff. That's their fault, but in their credit, they made adjustments and just let's just pound them. You'd have been watching the game with me. You're the key guy. I was getting text messages from some of them. What's wrong? We're tricking our own selves. Just line up and hit them in the mouth. And that's what happened in the second half. We let our big boys up front. I like to call them the Oompas sometimes. Let the Oompas just go to work and start pounding on folks. And that's exactly what they did. And they wore Northwestern down, out, and everything else in between. And they led the Trey Sermon setting a single season rushing record. That's one of the keys. If Ohio State wants to go on in these college football playoffs and be national champions, it will have to start, up front on both sides of the ball. And they proved that they can do that. Which leads me to my question of the day. My question of the day is, did the selection committee get it right? You know who the 5 teams are. That is my phone ringing. That is a selection committee. They must hear me talking about them right now. But the top 4 teams, number 1 was Alabama, number 2 was Clemson, number 3 was Ohio State, and number 4 was Notre Dame. Did they get it right? Feel free to give me a call. Give the number again, 937-457-9464. And Justin, my producer, was out of town. I'm going to bring him in here on this. He doesn't know. He's busy doing something else, but I'm going to get him in front of a microphone and ask him this simple question. Justin, you're the producer of the show. I know you followed it from your vacation. Did the college selection committee get it right with the best 4 teams?
Let me
I guess that's what they say. They say they want the best 4 teams. Did they get it right or wrong?
The purpose of the playoff is what?
To identify the best 4 teams.
Then yes. I think we're getting lost in the. You saw my tweet over the weekend. I just felt we're making it too much about the team. Like, if you want to have an argument about the purpose of the playoff is flawed, fine. But as far as what the playoff is trying to accomplish, it got the 4 best teams in. I mean, Notre Dame, I know the time.
Based on what?
Based on for one, it's a little bit of a blend of body of work of what you've been able to do throughout. Now, some are limited on their body of work and you can't control who you play.
Right.
But I do believe sometimes if you're a Cincinnati and others, you sometimes have to blame your athletic directors and others who, again, to be fair, though, to Cincinnati, had COVID not happened, they had some Power 5 teams in their schedule ready to go. But there were some teams that just didn't have a shot because you just don't have enough to go off of as far as quality of opponents. But if Clemson's going to get in because they redeemed a loss from months ago against the same team that beat them, and Notre Dame now loses to that same team, if the only difference between Notre Dame and Clemson is the timing of the loss, I think Notre Dame deserved to be in at number 4, especially if you're talking about Georgia's loss. Sure, they lost to Alabama, but they got destroyed. And we as Buckeye fans know, we learned years ago, you can lose,
Purdue, Iowa.
You can't get blown out. And you just can't. And you've already proven that if you go up against a top 4 team, that you can't hang with them. But maybe you could say the same thing about Notre Dame, too, because of how they lost to Clemson. My thing is, yes, they got the 4 right. There's flaws in how you go about building the playoff, but in my opinion, I believe they got it right in getting the 4 best teams in.
Well, okay. And then I won't argue that point too much, but my thing is the system, we've been talking about it for a couple of years now, how it's not right. We're only it's a 14 playoff, but you got Power 5 conferences they're going to choose me from in major independents. And only major independent that can make it is Notre Dame. So that's really six possible teams that can get in. The 5 conference champions and the 6, the major independent on paper before. And you only got room for 4 spots. The system is already broken before you even apply it. And now you try to apply it, it's going to be broken. Now you got too many subjective deals. You have an eye test, and it's not really an eye test, it's really biases. You look at the beginning of 2020, how many teams were playing to get into the Final Four in December? And my answer to that question was 1. It was only 1 spot available. Beginning of the season, everybody knew how good Ohio State was. Everybody knew how good Alabama was. Everybody knew how good Clemson was. Now, you got over 100 college, Division I programs playing for that 1 spot. Because the only way those 3 teams don't get in, they have to play themselves out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And they play themselves out of it if a Penn State goes undefeated and be Big Ten champs. So now they just replace Ohio State. The only way Alabama is not in there, if LSU or Florida outplays them, and now they're that representative. So to say it another way, the SEC has a reservation. The ACC has a reservation. The Big Ten has a reservation. If all things being equal, all of them go undefeated champions. Who is the fourth automatic spot? Is it the Big 12? Is it the Pac-12, or is it Notre Dame? So if Notre Dame goes undefeated, the Big 12 champion goes undefeated, and the Pac-12 champion goes undefeated. Who do you choose? And especially if those undefeated teams are USC, which is a brand name, Oklahoma, which is a brand name, and Notre Dame. That's where it will really get ugly, and you will really see even more of the politics come out into play. And just let you know right there, it's a bad system. So Cincinnati, UCF, Memphis, BYU, Coastal Carolina, name the college that's not in those Power 5 conferences, you're not invited.
Well, let me ask.
Never, ever.
So we know it's difficult for teams like Cincinnati, UCF, and others, Coastal Carolina, to get to the playoff. But there is a way to get.
There is no path to the playoff.
But they're punished because, okay, they play in a conference where they don't play the same competition each week as compared to a Big Ten, SEC, ACC, etc. So you may not be able to control who you play in conference, but you do control who you play in the non-conference. If I'm Cincinnati and I'm putting Austin Peay and Western Michigan and Miami of Ohio in my non-conference schedule pre-COVID, how is that helping you get to the college football playoff? You know what I'm saying? So, now to be fair, they did put a game with Nebraska. Nebraska was going to welcome in Cincinnati, but I feel like you're not doing yourself any favors playing the Miamis and the Western Michigans and the Austin Peays of the world. You need to be getting, and I'm not saying they're not trying, but that's not a schedule that's going to help you. You're not helping yourself. You can control your non-conference. You can't control your conference. You can control your non-conference. That's why I brought up athletic directors earlier. If you are the ADs of those schools, you need to do a better job of getting quality games in there that are going to maybe make up for the lack of competition in your schedule compared to a national scale of what Ohio State or Alabama and Clemson's going up against in their conference.
Well, and one thing that the college football doesn't have is the commissioner, and they don't really have a mandate that would make you do that. And I would be wholehearted on that. You would tell the Power 5 schools, you have 12 games on your schedule, which I think is too many. But let's say you have 12 games. You must play 9 conference games. You must play 2 non-conference games against Power 5 schools and 1 game against a non-Power 5 school. That's how you know, I think that would be a way to help out, you know, the Cincinnatis, and then the Cincinnatis are with American Athletic Conference, allow them to play 4 or 5 non-conference games. So now, if I'm telling the Big Ten, you have to play a non-Power 5 conference out of your, you know, so that means Ohio State has 1 game to play a MAC school or American Athletic Conference school. Or, you know, so that could be, this year we scheduled Cincinnati. Next year we scheduled, you know, Bowling Green. The following year we scheduled UCF. And the same with Alabama. And then in the Big Ten, we stay with the Big Ten, in a Big Ten non-conference game with the Power 5, schedule SEC, schedule ACC, those 2 non-conference games, and then don't forget the Big 12 and the Pac-12 and other years. That way, you're making these guys, and you're making the SEC stop playing Wofford, Florida Atlantic, and all these teams late in the season. You know, Jackson State, Florida A&M, the Citadel. You can't play those schools. Their schools, the Citadels, they have to play up and try to play in the Cincinnatis. Cincinnati can schedule them as one of their pushover games.
Yeah, and I brought up that just because I heard a lot of Cincinnati fans over the weekend do the whole, well, they are really good. They can't help who they play in their conference. You are right, but you can control who you play in the non-con. And like I said, now, to be fair, they need the Austin Peays to come into Nipper Stadium, the Western Michigans and the Miami of Ohio's. They need those teams to come in because they need home games for season ticket holders. But if you're a Cincinnati, you got to ask yourself, okay, those Austin Peay, Western Michigan, Miami of Ohio weekends, let me ask you, are those home games that important from a business perspective of ticket sales?
Yeah, they're recruiting weekends.
Or is going on the road to face a quality opponent to help your big picture resume more important? You got to decide, because you're telling us right right now with Austin Peay and Western Michigan that the business side means more than the actual resume side, which is fine, but you can't complain come November when the final poll comes out and you're sitting there just on the outside looking in. It's not fair, but that's the way you got to still schedule based on what the system is now. You can't, if you're going to waste time complaining about it, that's fine, but you better be doing something about it too. And I feel like they're not.
And they're not. But what I would do, probably not popular, but I would have two champions. NCAA has the national champion. They had an NIT championship. And, people who make the NIT couldn't qualify for the NCAA tournament, but they're still champions. They're NIT champions. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't necessarily have to be that drastic, but make it this the Power 5 Invitational, who is the quote-unquote the national champion, and this is a non-Power 5 champion. Like they used to have Division II, Division III championship. Just do that. And it would still be a heavy, with a weighted championship, just not as heavy as the Power 5s, because we're elitists and we're not letting you in.
But that's fine. But I feel like if you think back to your recruiting days, Cincinnati, much different program then than what they are now. But I'm just saying, let's think back to you. You're in high school. You're a top recruit. Cincinnati, they're trying to get better quality players. They're reaching out to Keith Byars, and Keith Byars says, well, I can go play at Cincinnati where I won't have a chance to win the national championship, or I can go to school to win it. Cincinnati would then cut off its arm as far as the elite talent that's out there, because the elite talent's not going to want to go to schools if they can't compete for national titles.
Yeah, but the thing is, I would still give them the same publicity, same TV contract, okay. and say to Monday night is the national football, the college football championship game. Then Tuesday night is make the Monday night the Cincinnati national championship game, and then Tuesday night is the bigger, the Power 5 national championship game. That the ratings will still be good. People will still tune in and watch, especially a Monday, Tuesday night. Last night was good. You see those guys play? And then, wow, that would generate, and it's all about branding. And it's not a downplay, because I didn't go to the Power 5 school, my championship is not. It's still a championship. And you play those Power 5 teams. But, because it's an elite system. How many teams can win a national championship? I've had that list before. It's not that many that's going to win the college football championship anyway. I think on my list, I have level 1, level 2, and I have 14 teams as of right now on my list that can win the national championship without assistance, without needing some kind of help. And I probably need to shrink that list. And so from the Big Ten, I have Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and Wisconsin.
And that's with the stars. Ohio State, their stars are always aligned in a position there. But yes, those programs have the base that they just need to tweak a few things and boom, they're right. Yeah,
but they go undefeated. They can write their own ticket there and be guaranteed a spot, in the Final Four dance. Because if Wisconsin do it, they would have had to beaten an Ohio State or Penn State or Michigan in the actual Big Ten championship title game. These guys were undefeated and earned their way there. But if Wisconsin wins the Big Ten with a 10-2 record, maybe they won't make it. So I said, or 11-1 record, maybe they don't make it. So I probably need to squat down. From the SEC, I have Alabama, I have LSU, Auburn, Florida, and Georgia. Auburn probably doesn't belong in that list, but the reason why I have them there, if they go undefeated, beat Alabama and win the conference championship and beat a Georgia or Florida in the SEC championship game, they write their own ticket therein. So those two, that's why I have them there. In the Big 12, it's only 2 teams. Oklahoma and Texas. Baylor would need help. Iowa State needs help. How did you go in? You went undefeated and you ain't how much you beat Oklahoma twice? Oh, okay, but did you go undefeated? It's almost similar to Wisconsin. And then the last but not least, the ACC. I have Clemson, and I have Florida State down, but Florida State is not the Florida State this one I had this list a couple years ago. So only Clemson. And then last, I forgot, was USC from the Pac-12. Even UCLA, Washington, they would need some assistance. Those are the only team that's going to win a national championship, period, point blank. So It's not as expensive as people think. It's not like 110, like Coastal Carolina. Guys, if we do this, then now we got a chance to win a national championship. No, you don't. I love Luke Fickell, but Luke knows that he cannot win. Even if forget the pandemic, Cincinnati goes 12-0, 13-0, and win the conference championship, they probably still would not have gotten invited.
Yeah, they would need help. Like, they would need help. They would need chaos in front of them. They would need dominoes to fall to where they're the only one left standing. And it's like, okay, they make sense. But it wouldn't happen this year. That's a lot of scratching on the lottery.
They still would have put Notre Dame in front of them. If Notre Dame plays all their games and have one loss in the championship game to Clemson, who they had already beaten, they're still making it over Cincinnati. It's a bad, truth, but it's a bitter pill to swallow. But it is. I better go to break. We got to pay some bills around here. I'll be back, and we got to talk more about that after the break. But guys, think about that. Tell me what you think, how you feel. Got your questions, comments to me. Let me know. You're listening to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
You have empty office space to fill. You know what you need, and you know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places that what you need and what you'd like, that might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half price and below manufacturer's suggested prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really. Desks from $50 to $5,000. File cabinets, $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Outlet. With 87,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. 2 locations. One at 23 McOil Street, Dayton. The other, Uniques Unlimited on South Dixie. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Saturday, 10 to 4.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations, serving the greater Dayton and Cincinnati area, is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase. Visit on Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
My community means everything to me. That's why I joined the Army National Guard. I'm proud of where I'm from, and as a soldier, I get to give back to the people that help me succeed. The training and leadership skills I get from the Army National Guard help me every day when I teach young people and look out for my community. If you'd like to learn how you too can serve part-time with the community you love, visit nationalguard.com.
Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard, aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today with professional counseling done securely online. Visit betterhelp.com/feelhappy and get 15% off your first month.
The spread of COVID-19 is still unchecked across the nation, and you need to keep your family safe. Make a new habit and check your temperatures twice a day, once before dinner and before leaving home in the morning. You can't afford to take chances, so use the Exergen Temporal Scanner. Its accuracy is backed by more than 80 clinical studies, and it takes an accurate reading in seconds. It's the only home thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, doctors, and nurses. Quick and easy to use. You can count on Exergen to keep your family safe 24 hours a day.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
There's no place like home for the holidays. And when it comes to home style, there's no place like Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken with our 8-piece meal for only $19.99. Get the taste of home that's ready in a hurry with 8 mixed pieces of our famous recipe chicken, 2 large sides, and 4 fluffy biscuits. With Lee's, treating your family to a home-style meal is easier than ever. Get a sit-down meal made easy with our 8-piece meal for only $19.99. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World.
The year is 2019, and someone is getting up to use the bathroom at the stadium.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, sorry. Excuse me? You mind if I just squeeze by here?
This has been The Sounds of the Old World.
Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Just close your eyes.
Boo, you already got me an iPhone SE from Cricket.
Okay. Open.
A caribou.
It's a reindeer, dear.
In North America, it's called a caribou, Boo.
No way.
Well, I love my new iPhone SE and my new caribou. What's it mean?
It's caribou.
Get the iPhone SE for $49.99 when you switch. Smile. You're on Cricket.
Ends 1/7/21. Excludes upgrades and AT&T ports. Limit 2 phones per customer. Activation fee $25 per line and additional one-time fees. $4 customer assistance fee may apply, subject to change.
At Milano's, we make the food that brings friends and family together. Invite Milano's to your party with easy online ordering, fast delivery, our quick pickup carryout station, and full catering menu. Milano's Pizza, Subs, and Taps. Celebrate the season.
Hi, Joey Beckett here at Buckeye Ford in Sydney, home of the Works package. We'll change the oil and filter, rotate the tires, check the brakes, test the battery, and check all the fluids and filters. Still starting at just $39.95. And ask us about our double take tire specials. Goodyear, Michelin, BF Goodrich, Kelly, and other quality tires. Buckeye Ford in Sydney, exit 92 off of I-75. We'll see you soon.
Power Music, one of the nation's largest music stores, is having their 84th annual holiday sale. Over 5,000 instruments and accessories have been reduced to their lowest price, just in time for musical gift giving. Guitars, drums, band instruments, ukuleles, everything musical is on sale. Power Music is in Centerville on Route 725, just 2 miles east of the Dayton Mall. Look for the huge Hauer sign for selection, service, and savings on all your musical needs. Power Music's 84th annual holiday sale going on now. Are you involved with a school or charitable fundraiser that holds an auction, bid and buy booth, or a raffle to raise money? Many of the most popular items at auctions or booths are autographed sports memorabilia items. How can you get great items in your event? Call Adam Walter at Sports Investments. Sports Investments has a consignment program for fundraisers that has provided outstanding items. You select items that are proven sellers, including autographed pieces from Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Big Red Machine, the Bengals, the Browns, UC, XU, UK, NKU, Dayton, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Sports Investments consigns the items to your group at a highly discounted price. And when they sell, you keep the profit. You don't pay anything in advance. And if something doesn't sell, you simply return it. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email Adam at sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275. Just 40 minutes from WING.
This year, get a gift for the crew and something for you, too. Shop Lowe's in-store or at lowesforpros.com for brands like DeWalt, Metabo, HPT, Yeti, and more. While supplies last, U.S. only.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me. Get granular. Keep me in the pipeline. But nada. Nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me, and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume, and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you.
You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know. Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Welcome back. You're listening to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Phone number to call is 937-457-9464. You get me on Twitter also at KAB41. If you're at work and you got a question, you just want to just shoot me a quick text message and I'll respond to you. And then the boss man don't have to even worry about it. But guess what else? I'm going to be live. We had a chance to win some prizes also next week. I'm going to be live at the Lee's Famous Recipe on North Main Street in Dayton next Monday at 12 o'clock. Come on out. Let's have lunch together. Let's talk about what happened with the Bengals and the Browns and the preview of the Buckeyes against the Clemson Tigers. We have got to get those guys this year. So we'll be talking about all that, and we'll have a good time. So come on out next Monday at 12 o'clock at Lee's Famous Recipe, and I'll do the show live, and you can have your questions answered immediately. You don't have to call in or anything. You'll be right there, and we'll talk about what's on your mind. So, guys, I want to talk some more about the rankings and the college football playoffs. Last year, a couple years ago, when the Buckeyes did make it, we was all upset when they deserved it. And the system is it better than the BCS? Yes. It's better than the BCS. Is it better than the system I had when I was in college? It was just voted on. It was like it wasn't no quote unquote, this is the game that's going to determine the national championship. It's between this team and that team, and you can have 3 teams go undefeated, and the voters would vote who was that national champion. Is it better than that system? Yes. So how do you improve the system, or is it leave well enough alone? Do you expand it? Do you go backwards? I don't know, but I know you can't go back. That's not it. And am I a fan for expansion? Yes, with stipulations. You need to cut down the regular season. If you cut down the regular season, to 11 games, just take it, or even 10 games plus conference championship, and then you can have the teams to qualify, into the playoffs. That way you can play your way into the, the championship, and you can have 1 or possibly 2 losses. This year with Texas A&M was screaming about 2 losses. Florida was saying, with 2 losses, if they beat Alabama, they think they're deserving. And A&M had a bad loss early in the year against Alabama. It's guys, but I hate the rankings. That's, one way to fix the system that we currently have. Because when the Final Four came out and they was comparing the strength of schedule against teams that didn't make it between Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Cincinnati, and they were talking about look at their strength of schedule. I mean, how does Cincinnati drop 2 spots when they didn't even play? And then when they do play and win, they still drop a spot, and they get leapfrogged by a 2-loss team. So the main reason why I don't like rankings is because it's too much bias. Everyone wants to, especially voters in that particular region, want to cheer for their home team. I've been accused of being Ohio State biased, and sometimes I am. I'll admit that. But most of the time, and well, not most of the time, all the time, I'm honest. About where the Buckeyes are. So if you can't handle the truth, you can't handle the truth. But I'm always going to be honest. So yes, I'm going to lean toward Ohio State from the beginning. But once the ball is snapped and the games are played, you're going to get 100% honest answer out of me and how I feel about the situation. Because if you must rank teams, rank them from the beginning of the season, how they finished last season. That is the only thing that makes sense to me. If LSU won a national championship last year, which they did, why do they not start number 1 this year, which they did not? Rank them. You have 25 teams ranked, which I think is too much. When I was in school, it was 20 teams, which is plenty. If it's up to me, it would only be 15 teams that gets a national ranking. But to please everybody, got to be give and take. I'll let 25 stand. So whoever wins the national championship this year, and you're going to have a 1 through 25 ranking. The final rankings will come out after the national championship game was decided. So going into the 2021 season, that's where you start. Look at the travesty that happened this year with Indiana. Indiana finished second in the Big Ten. Well, technically, I guess third in the Big Ten. They go 6-1. 5-1. With 5-1. They have 1 loss. No, 6-1. They have 1 loss. Not only do they not make. They weren't trying to politic to get be the 4th team in the playoffs like Texas A&M was. They wasn't hollering, man, what we deserve, like Florida, we deserve to be in there. We lost 3 times. Indiana just said, we let our work speak for itself. And when you don't politic, what happens sometimes? You get overlooked. They didn't even get a New Year's Six bowl. How much of the team that finishes that high in the Big Ten don't even get a New Year's Eve, New Year's Six bowl? Anytime on your resume, you beat Michigan, you beat Wisconsin, you beat Penn State, and you play Ohio State tough, and that's no consideration. Because it's all about this false perception that the SEC is the best conference. Yeah, that is so. It makes me almost want to throw up, especially when I watch Paul Feinbaum sit up there and talk about, it's just common knowledge. Everybody knows the SEC. Who's everybody, Paul? You didn't ask me. You're by no means on my level of expert and knowing what makes a good team, what makes a bad team. So my resume will stand by itself. I know talent. I know what is good and what is not good. Way better than him and a whole bunch of other national pundits. Trust me. But that's what gets me upset. When I hear people say that kind of stuff, you determine who's the best conference at the end of the season. Then you look at their body of work and say, this team, this was the toughest conference this year. Even when you're going through it, it's hard to, give yourself a totally honest answer when you won't be honest. When the Big Ten is down, I would tell you that. I said, man, we got some good teams in the Big Ten, but overall we're not that good from top to bottom. And then other years, we're pretty solid. I don't think there's not a conference out there that's had a better season than us this year. I've said there's been years I've said that, years I haven't said that. But never, ever do you hear anybody from the SEC ever tell you the SEC had a not so good year. Every year is just great. Every year is great. They're way better than other conferences. So if you can do this in the SEC, that's so ask a 9, ask a 10, ask 11, ask a 12. That's crazy. It's crazy talk. You're not being honest. In some years, the ACC has been the best. Some years, it's been the Big Ten. Sometimes it's been the SEC. Never has it been, since these new conferences have come up, has it been the Big 12. They've had some solid years in the Big 12, but not from top to bottom, from overall body of work. It hasn't been. In the Pac-12, not even close. So every year, the best out of the Power 5 conferences, it's either the Big Ten, the SEC, or the ACC, and it's really between the Big Ten and the SEC, because the ACC more or less is top heavy. And when I say top heavy, I really mean Clemson, Florida State if they're really good that year. Louisville's not all bad. You know, Miami is a crapshoot. North Carolina, not even. I can't even say North Carolina. They've not even played in a conference championship. Forget winning. So that's not the same. Whereas the SEC, you know, they've had different champions in the last 10 to 15 years. You know, mostly Alabama, but Auburn has been there, LSU has been there, and Georgia has been there. They've been carrying the water for the majority of the conference. And the Big Ten over the same time period, you know, it's been Ohio State. It's been Penn State has won it. Michigan State has won it. Wisconsin's been in the mix. You know, Iowa's had some good years, some really good years. So it's more balanced, and I think that you have to be honest with your total assessment instead of just going by brand year in and year out, saying this is the best conference. So if we do away with all these preseason rankings, you know, unless you're going to rank them from how they started the previous year. That way, if you wait to rank teams until the middle to late October, like week 6 or 7, that way, when you say, well, this team, they beat a ranked team. A lot of times you beat a ranked team in September, they're not even ranked come October and November. But you still take credit for it, like they would expecting a dynamite season. I mean, look at Ohio State's schedule this year. They beat Penn State in week 2. Penn State went on to lose 5 straight games. They start their season 0-5. They you know, gathered it somewhat together toward the end of the season. But Ohio State should not get credit for beating a ranked team in September. Just like no one should get a credit for beating a ranked team in September, because you don't know how good they are. You know, Auburn at one time was a top 10 rated team from the beginning of the season. Where's Auburn out now? They're terrible. I mean, and then you have schools like Tennessee that was ranked in the top 25 simply because the Big Ten season hadn't started. The Pac-12 season hadn't started. So these SEC teams are racking up strength of schedule points based on beating ranked teams. That the only reason why they're ranked because it's lack of imagination by the voters and the writers, because you ask them to list me your top 25. And okay, let me see in the SEC. Oh, I got about 8, sometimes 9 teams in the SEC. The SEC ranked in the top 25, which is, come on, really? Let the guys play, let the talent play on the field. Then you can start to rank them at week 7 through 12. And that's a better identifier how strong your conference is, how good your team is. Because the week, you know, it would separate from the, you know, from the other stuff. That's what you have to perform. You know, I have less than a minute to go on my show. Guys, I can't wait. You know, this is the fastest hour. I can't wait to next week. Buckeye Clemson preview. I'll be live at Lee's Famous Recipe on North Main Street in Dayton. You know, a whole lot to talk about. We'll be there live to give you the great preview. Hopefully we get Chris Olave back and a whole lot of the players. But in the meantime, guys, be safe. Have a very, very Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, Feliz Navidad, Kwanzaa, all that good stuff. Take care of one another. Black Lives Matter. And coronavirus is out there. Be safe this holiday season. God bless you. See you next week.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
It's Greeny with Mike Greenberg on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and on ESPN Plus.
Back and better than ever, Greeny, presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line like Ryan Clark. Green Stradamus with you here on this Wednesday before Christmas. As I said before, it is sort of an interesting day for me. It's a big day because it's my last day doing this show for the year. I came back here to radio August 17th. I haven't taken a day off since then. I haven't taken any time off this year with the pandemic and everything else. You know, we've had so much going on here at ESPN. I'm going to take the last week of the year off, and then I will come back starting off to the beginning of next year, and I'm moving times. I'm moving up 2 hours. I'll be on starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So sort of feels a little bit like the ending of something here today, and then we will start